50 Cent hates his own son. So I only saw parts of this interview, and I don't really follow any celebrity drama. I just really wanted to respond to this because it felt so personal. You know, I'm a young father. My kid's only a year old. He'll be a year old next month. I've also been a son my entire life. And my situation with that is that my father's always lived in my household. My parents got divorced when I was about 13, so he was paying child support for a while. Went away for a while. When I turned, so about 4 years of that, he was paying child support. We didn't really all that connected for about 4 years. And that's all, I'll talk about that. I went to college when I was 17, so I wasn't around anyone when I was 17 to about 22 or so. I kind of held my own life outside of my mom, outside of my father, both. But that would be an extension on the 4 years that me and my dad weren't really talking. And then when I came home, I was at school, by the way. You talk like that as a black man, people think you're in prison. It was kind of like prison, but it wasn't prison. I came home, my dad was the first person that I lived with. And he let me live with him rent-free for just about a year. And then I went down south to South Jersey to move in with my girlfriend and to discover my masculinity, I guess. So, wow. Looking back on it, do I feel affected at all by not having my father for those years? So me and my father had a disconnect when I turned about 13 because my father spent 2 decades in prison from the ages of 18 to about 37, 38. So when I was 13, he had to be in his 50s. You know, he's 60 now. He went back to prison. It was very hard for me at that time because you kind of feel at that point, all right, you're an old man now. It's your turn to be showing me the ropes, and you're home now. You know, when you're young and you're out there doing stupid shit, it makes a little bit of sense because of age, immaturity, lack of wisdom. When you're an older person and you're not holding up your end of the deal, you're not being the role model anymore, you're doing exactly what you don't want me to do, you're talking about stuff that you don't want me to do, it puts you in a situation where you can't no longer look at this person as a role model. Not only that, but YB and Cordy, he has a song called Old Niggas, and it's the spot in the head. It's like most of our role models for our generation as black men, as African men, are very much do what I say, not as I do, because just the way that this country is set up, not too many of us are enabled to do what we're supposed to be doing. So we got to find a lot of alternative ways to survive, a lot of alternative ways to make it through in this life. My father was wrapped in with some shit with Carmelo Anthony. I know it sounds a lot more intense than what it really turned out to be. I lost my dad for about 18 months. I was very happy when he came home after 18 months. And because of the divorce, though, I just kind of had to watch my parents' relationship deteriorate entirely. First, they got a separation. I'm living with my mother who's having issues with my dad for years now. And it was just a really weird, very traumatic, emotional experience. But I knew I was leaving the house soon. That was basically the years or so leading up to college and me getting out of the house that I got a lot older. I've been wrestling for a while. So with that, I started challenging my mom a lot more. She couldn't really she had no real sense of control over me and what I was doing. Luckily, I wasn't really a bad kid, so I didn't really do anything crazy, but I was having a lot of sex at a very young age that could have fucked me up for life. You know, I could have had a baby at 17 or 18 instead of having a kid now, you know, about 25, 26. You know, I could have really fucked up my whole life what I was doing. But if I had a dad there to curb that, it's just me and my mom, it's not that hard to tell your mom, oh, hey, this is my friend. You know, your mom has her own experiences of being a girl, so she gives them the benefit of the doubt. And you're downstairs piping some chicks out, you know. It was a waste of time, quite honestly. Because I ended up being the same kind of, whatever you do and whatever you practice is the person that you become no matter what. No matter what, you try to spin that nothing. So I spent all that time trying to pick chicks up, trying to talk to chicks, trying to gain this feminine attention that I wasn't getting, trying to express this sense of masculinity that I wasn't quite taught. And this is after having a father for most of my life, but this is the age in which I'm becoming a man. You know, so I'm in high school. Most of the time in high school, me and my dad just did not talk. He'll reach out to me, but I would never really reach out to him. We just did not speak. You know, I was so hurt. I was so angry. You know, it's like I felt like up to this point, you were just doing anything else but being a father. So I'm not going to waste these last few years of my childhood trying to chase after you and trying to pretend to be a son when I don't know what that is anymore. Well, this response to 50 Cent and his son is that I feel like it really is the father's responsibility, because during that time period still, my dad would reach out, he would take me to the movies. That's something that we really much enjoyed. He would keep calling. He would keep calling. He would keep trying to reach out to me. He would keep stopping by the house. He would keep attempting to have a relationship with me. And like I said, he let me into his home. He let me live with him rent free. You know, when I came home, I lost my apartment. That was very hard for me. He found me a place to stay. I couldn't stay with him again, you know, because there was just too much tension. You know, young bull, big bullshit. I don't think for 50 Cent, what he said is that his son hates him. I don't think your son hates you. I think you're a terrible fucking role model. I think 50 Cent is probably the worst human being on the goddamn planet. I think he's a horrible fucking role model. And I think that is 100% how his son feels. I don't feel like 50 Cent is remotely equipped to take care of a child. I don't feel like 50 Cent's selfishness and his lifestyle, the way he insults other people, I feel like he would be extremely emotionally and mentally abusive to his son. So his son saying that you hate you, 50, you gotta relook in your life and see why that is. He might fucking hate you because you're not with his mother. His mother's the most important thing in the world to him. You know, for girls, that's a little bit different. Daddy's the most important guy in the world, the most important thing in the world, most important person. For boys, their mother's the most important thing in their entire fucking life, no matter what. So if you're disrespecting his mother in front of him, you may not think it's a big deal because you don't like her, because you don't take her seriously. But you got a whole song, Have a Baby by Me, Baby, Be a Millionaire. Then when it comes to backing that shit up, you got issues with it. Not only got issues with it, you got a full-grown human being that looks just like you out in this world, and you got no relationship with him. Worse than that, he might be talking shit about you behind your back, and you can't do nothing to it, and that's going to devastate your reputation, because it's your son. It's not somebody else. It's not some random fucking stranger. It's not your brother. You know, you can talk about your brother being jealous of you. Your son, I feel like as a son, it's almost impossible to feel jealous of my father. My father has an amazing legacy in New Jersey. I don't feel jealous of my father at all. I don't feel any hatred towards my father either. I don't have any kind of vindication. I don't have any negative feelings. Only thing I feel about my dad that just doesn't really go away is just kind of hurt, you know? Is that now is the present. We have the future ahead of us. And as my father likes to say, no tree grows out of season. So he's being patient with me because now I'm my own kid. I'm a man now. I got a whole life I got to take care of before I got time to visit dad or visit grandma or some shit like that. You know, I got a lot of things in my personal life I really got to figure out and that demand my focus now. And it's not trying to be someone's 10-year-old son. I'm 26 because I'm 27 this year. I'll be 30 in a couple of years. You know, so I really think it's 50 Cent's responsibility to be the wise one in the group and to not have even made those remarks about his son to begin with. I would also say 50 Cent never said that he hates his son. What 50 Cent said that the labels are completely misinterpreting is that his son hates him. And I feel like as a father, this is the other side of things, I can't imagine anything more painful than that. You know, and like shame on my younger self, shame on who I used to be as a man, as a person, mainly as a boy, quite honest with you. to even put my father through something like that. I didn't have the emotional fortitude to really deal with it. And it's developed into something now, like communicating with your father is going to be how you choose to communicate with the rest of the world. It really is. The relationship with your mother is very important, but the relationship with your father, because it's the only person that has any true authority over you. Nothing else in this world has any authority over you. If you have a relationship with your father, fuck the police, fuck the president, fuck the government, fuck the mayor. The only person you gotta listen to is him. And that creates your relationship with the Holy Father, your God. So right now, people don't have any God, they don't have any Father, and they respect any false authority figure that enters their life, be it a supervisor or a manager or the police or anything like that. They respect any other authority figure in life because they never bow down to the ultimate authority, their creator. You come from your father before you come from your mother. Your mother holds you for 9 months, but your father brought you into this world. So if you don't have any respect for creation and the seed that brought you here, that's why he's talking about his son going to a pawn shop or some shit, or a jewelry store or some shit like that, trying to sell his chain that he got from child support money. And it's just like, what kind of fucking idiot? Any grown man that wears jewelry, you're this obsessed with the appearance that you have to that degree. You see your father in a jewelry store, whether you got issues or don't have issues with him, and you just keep going about your business like that's not happening. It's dark, man. It begins to paint the kind of degradation that you see within the black community, the African community in itself, is that, let's first mark that black people aren't the only people that have issues with fathers staying at home. We seem to have a global epidemic and a global crisis with men who actually want to be fathers and rise up, especially in this generation, because in this generation, women make more money than we do. Whether you got a degree or don't got a degree, women make more money than we do. So oftentimes, or in my situation, that requires you having to be the primary caretaker, and then you take a secondary job to supplement and support what's going on, or you got to work different hours of the day so she is empowered to provide and do what she needs to do. You can't let ego or pride get in the way with that. I feel like that's the biggest issue with men, is that our pride and our ego is just so big and so toxic. It prevents us from having relationships with women, because some women can be narcissists, for sure. Women want to express themselves eternally, but at home, I can't really say that's the dynamic, the need for power and the need, maybe control. Women definitely have issues with control, but the need for power and the need to feel like number one in place, a woman oftentimes just wants to have a say in what's going on. It's her fucking life. She wants to add some input into what's going on. She wants to make sure that she's going to get what she needs and what she wants out of the deal. But ultimately, the difficulty in having a relationship isn't even with the woman. It's with the man. Is whether or not you feel like being a man, whether or not you feel like expressing your masculinity in the right way, or you got to go through the trial and error like a lot of us do, and you don't know how to express your masculinity. So you're violent, you're volatile, you're yelling at her, you're screaming at her, and that's not your child, that's somebody else's child. So that's abuse. So if she calls the cops on you and you go to jail for 10 years, whose fault is that? I feel like men like 50 Cent, they would be great men if they were single. They would be amazing men in this world if they didn't have kids. But the very moment you have a child and all this other shit that you're doing doesn't come second to you having a child, you're a little boy. You're not a fucking man. You just aren't. The same thing goes with men that they have children and they take care of the kids, but they don't take care of the mother of their child. You're a little boy. You had a relationship with that woman long before the child was born. If you weren't able to make things work with the mother, your child, God gave you the mother of your child. God allowed that baby to be born, then you're likely not going to have any positive relationship with a woman again. You're always going to have deep-seated emotional issues. So I really hope that Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, really handles his internal emotional, because even watching the interview, I felt hurt for 50 Cent. because he's not a great male role model, and he wasn't attempting to be a great male role model. You know, a lot of men follow him. They like his business acumen. I think he's a wonderful entrepreneur. I feel like he's a very respectable person within the rap industry. I think, but those two things don't fucking matter in reality. Once you're not in a board office, you need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to deal with people. You need to be able to express yourself positively. I feel like 50 Cent can be one of the most tremendous leaders within the black community. His very identity was resilience. You know, you heard about him the first time ever. This guy that got shot 9 times and then released a rap album. I love Get Rich or Die Trying. I listened to the album Get Rich and Die Trying every single day when I was dealing with everything I was dealing with my father. You know, it helped me feel connected to my culture. It helped me feel connected to my people and not just get lost in the suburban lifestyle, you know. But I feel like 50 Cent's issues with his son and not being able to pull his son back in or have the patience that it takes, that if he didn't have that relationship with his father, which I don't think he did, that he understands the importance in his personal life, what not having a father did and how not having a father hurt him and how badly he wished that he got to talk to his father no matter what. And more than likely, if you look at Gabor Mate, I'm going to end this after this, with Gabor Mate, if you don't develop that communication with your child, especially your son, at a very young age, when he gets older, you'll never have that communication. Because you're waiting until he becomes mature, you're waiting until he becomes wise, you're waiting until he develops these things to be able to have a real conversation with you man to man. You need to be having man-to-man conversations with him so that he becomes a man to begin with. Because those aren't things that you just develop. They're things that you need to observe, you need to learn and be taught. And sadly, our fathers aren't doing that. So, I made things up with my father. We still got a pathway to go. Because I want to have a friendship with my father. You know, I know that's weird, but as we get older, I want to be able to say that my father's my best friend. I want to be able to hang out with my dad like I would hang out with other male friends. Because I don't got a lot of male friends or female friends I really fuck with. I just got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of projects to work on. So I would love to have that relationship with both my parents like we did when I was a child, because I don't think it has to end because I'm older. But the only way it's going to change is if I become a man. You know, if I can take my parents out to dinner. If I can pay for shit, because they're not going to pay for me at this goddamn age. Unless it's my birthday or something. But thank y'all. Thank you for listening. And I really hope that 50 Cent and his son figure this shit out. And I pray, I'll just do a prayer real quick because I love to pray. You know, Father God, Jehovah Yahweh, I really pray over all the fathers and sons, fathers and daughters within the African community. It's plagued us for centuries now with our men being sold away to different plantations, our men being murdered before our eyes, being arrested before our eyes, and feeling as if there's nothing that we can do to combat it or fix it or stop it. It's completely demoralized the African people in this country, and it's allowed the media, the movies, the music, the television shows to completely destroy the image of Black America, that we're either portrayed as weak nerds or tough thugs that can't do nothing but rap and play football. There's so much more depth to us as a people. There's so much more beauty to us as a people. I know that all things happen for a reason, but I really hope that we're able to snap out of this so that we're empowered to take back our freedom, to take back our liberty, and to really change our lives. We don't deserve this suffering, God. I really pray for a reconnection between a father and all their children, no matter how many there are. I pray for a reconnection between the fathers and the mother of those children, to understand that we got to work through things for the kids. It's not for us. It's not for our ego. And more importantly, I hope that these fathers and mothers are able to grow up and mature to see the damage that it causes to our entire society. Not just Black and African people, but our entire American society to begin with. To think that there's a group of people, we're all a collective. Latinos, Asians, Middle Eastern folks, white people, and African people. We're all a collective. We need each and every group to succeed excellently within this country. If this country is ever going to become great for the first time ever, we need every single group working together, pulling together, working in unison with reciprocal relationships to make that happen. That's impossible if you don't have a family structure. I pray for a complete repair over the black family structure. In God's almighty name I pray. Amen. Thank you all for listening.